লাইভটা কি হলো?
লাইভ স্টার্ট হয়েছে।
So hello everyone, welcome to the live session today. Let me get a quick check if the speakers are ready or not. Mr. Khairul, Ms. Ruhina, and Mr. Saad, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great to hear that. We are in for a fantastic session, and we have already got about people starting to join. So let's wait for a while. We might have people joining in right now. So we're waiting for our participants to join. So we have around 46 people, 46 participants right now. So we're waiting for our participants to join. Start with the event today. I know there is going to be a lot more joining within a few minutes, so I suggest we have around 46 people. We can kick off. 46 participants right now. So we're waiting for our participants to join. A very good evening to everyone. I'm Hamid. I'm the manager of Cfa Society Bangladesh. Thank you for joining us for the launching ceremony of Cfa Society Bangladesh Career Portal. I would like to thank you all for joining. I'd also like to thank our panelists who have taken out their valuable time to be with us. So first of all, let me share the event format for the day. Firstly, I will share my screen to launch the Cfa Society Bangladesh Career Portal and show some of the features and also the benefits of the Career Portal. Then we will have a short speech from two of our speakers, followed by a short presentation about CFA program. And finally, the panel discussion with our panelists on career insights and the recent changes in CFA program. Before we start, let me introduce the speakers. First, we have Mr. Khairul Bashar, CFA, Senior Manager, Bragg Bank Limited. We have Ms. Ruhina Rahman, CFA, Non-Merchandise Spend Analyst, Canadian Tire Corporation, and Mr. Saad Ikram Safat, CFA, as moderator for the Assistant Vice President, Corporate FX Dealer, Citibank NA, Bangladesh. As moderator for the panel discussion, we have Mr. Asif Khan, CFA, Managing Partner, Edge Research and Consulting. So let's get started. So here we are officially launching the CFA Society Bangladesh Career Portal through our website of CFA Society Bangladesh with the help of CFA Institute. Here we can see the career portal. So when we click on the Explore Now tab, it will open a new tab which shows the page of the career portal with the tagline, Learn, Connect, and Advance Your Career. First, we have the menu for the shortcut of the page. Then a small message from our president, Mr. Shohidul Islam, CFA. Then a button where we can see Meet Our Charter Holders. So when I click on this button, it will take me to this page where I can see all the 19 charter holders featured in the career portal. So when you click on View More, you can learn about their journey to professionalism. After that, we have the Inside the Industry, where we have segmented the charter holders according to the industry they are working in. For example, if I click on equity research, I will have a tab where I can see the equity research industry, a brief about the industry, and the charter holders who are working in that particular industry. Same goes with this one. If you click on View More, you can learn about their journey and their experience. Then finally, we have the career tools for you, where you can see first we have the Career Center, where you can explore your job opportunities from time to time. Then we have the APAC Career Cast. So if you subscribe to this particular podcast channel, you can tune into some of the podcasts which are mostly career focused. And then we have the Career Adaptability Test. You can take the test to assess and compare your adaptability and growth mindset. And finally, we have the Career Success to discover your strongest skills and manage your portfolio in the manage your career in the finance industry with our resources. And then we have this hyperlink picture. If you click on this picture, you can see the details about the CFA program, where you get all the information about the CFA exam and anything related to it. So finally, we are here in the end of this page. So follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So let's move on to the next segment of this event today. Now I would like to call the first speaker for today, Ms. Ruhina Rahman, CFA, who is residing in Canada and is working in Canadian Tire Corporation as non-merchandise spend analyst. Over to you, Ms. Ruhina.
Thank you, Hamid. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate the team on the wonderful job that you've done in developing and launching the CFA Society Bangladesh Career Portal. This will be a great opportunity for candidates and for current professionals in order to shape their career. If I go back a few years, I remember when it was just a few of us in a room where we sat down, shared our dreams, and made plans for the future. And to see those plans develop, to see the society grow, it's so wonderful to see. And to be a part of this journey is truly a privilege. Today, we are in the midst of an unprecedented global pandemic. And there is nobody here today who has not been affected some way, either professionally or personally, or maybe even both. So in this time, it's important to remember that humanity is coming together. We're sharing our information. We're leveraging our knowledge in medicine, in technology, in social behavior, in order to fight this virus and understand what our best strategies should be. We've had varying levels of success, and hopefully there will be a breakthrough soon. So it's important not to lose hope. As finance professionals, take a step back. Think of the skill sets you've developed. Treat this as you would a professional project, or let's say news coming to the markets. We have information. We will analyze that information and come to a data-driven decision. So try to apply that to your personal lives today. It's hard to do, but think of it, you are uniquely skilled to do this. We have information coming in at an overwhelming pace. So take a step back, moderate your information, verify the sources, see which is credible, which is relevant to you, and then make a decision, and then look forward based on that decision. So don't look back, because remember that at this time and place, you are making this decision based on the best possible information. So you are uniquely trained to do this. And when you go forward, then this will be the best decision that you could have done. At the same time, I think it's also important to manage your expectations. Everybody is coping in their unique way. Everybody is affected in a unique way. So it's wonderful if you can learn a new language. But at the same time, take that step back. Decide if that is really what is best for your future career. Keep the long term in mind and shape your decisions and what you're doing based on that. For candidates who are appearing for the exam, I do empathize with you. This is a very, very difficult and challenging time. But don't be disheartened. Keep your focus and plan for the future. For those who are new graduates or those who are already in the professional market, we have to be ready for change. We've already had a great impact on our ways of working, but accept that this is the new normal. We're unlikely to go back to pre-COVID-19 ways. So it's important to be realistic. Don't be a pessimist. Have some hope and faith. Try to have fun, spend time with your family, understand what is most important to you, and do the best that you can do. Don't give up. This is such a crucial time in each of our lives. And thank you so much for asking me to share my thoughts today. Back to you, Hamid.
Thank you so much, Ms. Reena. Now I'd like to pass the mic to our second speaker today, Mr. Sadiq Ansafat, CFA, Assistant Vice President, Corporate FX Dealer, Citibank NA, Bangladesh. Over to you, Mr. Sadiq.
Thank you, Hamid. I would like to thank CFA Society Bangladesh for inviting me to today's webinar. It's my privilege to represent the CFA Society. Thank you also, Hamid, for taking us through the CFA Bangladesh Career Portal. I can see it looks quite nice, and it has some useful tools like Career Center, Career Adaptability Test, and Career Success Pages. I think these tools will really help in identifying individuals, their skill gaps, and develop the skills to reach one's career goals. To introduce myself, I am Sadiq Safat. I've been working at Citibank NA since 2012 after completing my BBA from IBA Dhaka University. I've been working as a corporate FX dealer in global markets, and I earned my charter in 2016. Now at Citibank, I had the opportunity to work in dealing rooms in Mumbai, Hong Kong, and Singapore in FX and equities function. I think the CFA designation and its learnings proved extremely useful during my overseas stints. With all the concepts that are being taught in the program, I actually have never been caught off guard, and it really helped me learn the ropes very fast. I think one of the things that I appreciate very much about the CFA Society Bangladesh is the continuity of learning that it encourages. Because since earning my charter in 2016, I have attended a lot of events organized by CFA Society Bangladesh. Now, over the past years, through these learning sessions, I have actually had the opportunity to meet with experts from business fields, both within and outside the country. So it was a very good platform. This platform has actually provided me an opportunity to interact with top economists, corporate leaders, as well as academicians. I think CFA Society Bangladesh has also excelled in thought leadership because it has been creating awareness among investors through multiple forums. I would advise all finance, investment, and business enthusiasts and all aspiring charter holders that they should pursue their dreams to be a CFA charter holder, as I believe this program is the launchpad to excellence in the finance and investment. So this is what I had to say. Over to you,
Thank you, Mr. Saad. Now we have one of the important part of today's event, that is a basic presentation on the CFA program and what are the changes that is going to come in the next year. So I would like to call Mr. Khairul Bashar Sias to share his thoughts, who is working as a senior manager in Bragg Bank Limited. Over to you, Mr. Sias.
Thank you, Amit. Let me just share my screen first. Can you see the screen? Give me a go ahead.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. Wherever you are, I hope you are safe and in good health. COVID-19 pandemic has taught us many lessons, and I guess one of the lessons is that you have to take care of your health. So I'm here to talk about the CFA program itself and the recent changes that CFA Institute has introduced, especially in the level 1 exam. So within my presentation, I'll try to address two issues. There might be some misconceptions in many of you regarding the program itself, its usefulness. And the another issue that I want to address is the transition that CFA Institute would like to take from paper-based exam to computer-based testing. So let's jump right ahead. So before talking about the CFA program itself, let's talk about the financial ecosystem first and the skills that you need, the skills that are relevant today, right? So this diagram actually shows the complex financial ecosystem that we live and breathe in. So in one way or the other, indirectly or indirectly, we all are part of this financial ecosystem. Whether you are a saver who are saving money every month, or whether you are someone who is in need of money, or maybe you're someone who's working in any of the financial intermediaries and acting as a bridge between the surplus unit and deficit units, right? We're all part of this financial ecosystem. Now, to thrive and to succeed within this financial ecosystem, based on the survey, based on the research conducted by the CFA Institute, we need these following set of skills. So you can see that the skill set are divided into 4 broad categories. And the first one is obviously the technical skills, which is the foundation of foundational education that you may have. The technical skills basically are the ones that you learn from your textbook. Leadership skills, secondly, and this leadership skill essentially means that the ability to lead a team and to drive business performance to excellence, right? Third one is soft skills, and the importance of soft skills cannot be overstated, right? And it includes things like creativity, communication skills, computer skills, stuff like that, right? The fourth one, this might look a bit new to many of you, is called T-shaped skill, which is essentially decision-making skills under complex scenario. Now, the people who are working in financial markets, they deal with a lot of uncertainty. They deal with a lot of complexity in everyday scenario. And they have to make decisions under uncertainty that will add value to their organization, right? So T-shaped skills does that part. T-shaped skill cover that part. And CFA program essentially touches upon almost all of these skill sets. What's striking here is that you can see technical skills only account for 14% of the total skills that you need, right? Whereas T-shaped skills account for almost half of the total skills that you need, right? So this, kind of stresses the importance of T-shaped skills in your career. This chart here shows that the importance of different skills in different stages of your career. You can see that in the early stage of your career, obviously the technical skills are more important because these are your foundation, obviously. But as you move further ahead, during mid-year, mid-stage, and late stage of your career, the importance of technical skills obviously doesn't get reduced, but the proportionate importance of T-shaped skills increases manifold, right? If you look at the stacked column, the purple one, you can see on the late stage, it's pretty big, right? So that kind of shows the importance of T-shaped skills. Now about the program itself. So the CFA Charter, CFA program is recognized by The Economist magazine as the gold standard in investment analysis designation. Now, what do I mean by gold standard? Gold standard essentially, very simplistically means that it has global recognition, right? So it means that if you are a CFA charter holder in Bangladesh, you are a CFA charter holder anywhere in the world, right? And there are about 167,000 CFA charter holders across 165 countries, right? What is the CFA program? CFA program is offered by CFA Institute, Charlottesville, Virginia, USA, and it is a investment management focused finance designation that promotes the highest standards of ethics, education, and professional excellence. Now, I want to address one misconception here. Many of you might think that if you are studying CFA program, you need to build career in capital market. Now, I don't necessarily think so, right? Because you can see from this slide here that you can work in a variety of roles. You can work in capital market roles. You can work in money market roles. You can even work in academia through studying in CFA program. For example, just to give you some sense, the three speakers that we have today speaking to you, none of us are currently working in capital market. So that gives you a sense of the variety of career opportunities that CFA program might give you. Now, this diagram here shows that the global connectivity the CFA charter holders have all over the world. So we have 150 plus CFA societies who have been working relentlessly to add value to the members, including CFA Society Bangladesh. And there are also 60 plus regulators in more than 40 markets that have recognized CFA program as a value add to the members. This statistic shows the test centers across the world. Now, since CFA Institute is based out of North America, it's obvious that the test centers, highest number of test centers are in North America. But CFA Institute has identified its current and forthcoming growth area in Asia Pacific. So you'll see increasing number of test centers across Asia Pacific going forward. The value of CFA Charter obviously is it's a powerful, it gives you access to powerful global network. It gives you access to the career building materials and stuff. And most importantly, it gives you strong foundation in financial knowledge and obviously in ethics and professionalism. Now, the path of becoming a CFA Charter, the first step that you need to go through is you have to pass all 3 levels of CFA exam. Then you have to have cumulative 4 years of relevant work experience. Here, relevance means that whatever you do, either directly or indirectly, you apply any of the concepts that you have learned in any of the levels of CFA program. Then you have to take recommendations of at least two local society members, 2 local CFA charter holders, and you can apply then for the CFA charter through the CFA Institute website. The prerequisite for registering CFA level 1 exam. So you have to be a minimum a 4th year, final year student, undergrad student, while on the date of registering for the level 1 exam. And also you must have a valid international travel passport. That is the only identity you have to communicate with the CFA Institute in all respects. So minimum 4th year undergrad student, and a valid international travel passport is the prerequisite, basically. So if anyone is thinking about registering for the CFA Level 1 exam, and if you have any issues with your passport, I would strongly suggest you to get the paperwork sorted first. Now, the 3 levels of CFA program, right? So as you can see, the 3 levels in level 1, the focus area here is basically the basic foundation focus. So you are going to get yourself familiarized with the investment tools and techniques that are required to make decisions under complex scenario. So this is the foundation level, level 1. Then you will encounter level 2, which the focus of which is valuation of different asset classes. And then level 3, the focus area is portfolio management. So you will make real life decision making, portfolio management decision making in the level 3. Now this slide is probably the most important slide that I have. There has been significant changes in the exam cycles of level 1. So December 2020 exam is the last ever paper-based test for level 1 candidates. And starting from 2021, the level 1 exam will be moving to computer-based exam. So the candidates will have to sit in front of a computer to give the exam. Previously, the level 1 exam used to be held twice a year, June and December. But starting from 2021, the level 1 exam will be held 4 times a year: February, May, August, and November. And level 2 and level 3 exam have remained unchanged so far. The level 2 and level 3 exam will be paper-based, and it will be held once a year. That is June of every year. Now, I understand that many of you who have registered for June 2020 exam had to reschedule their exam to either December or February next year. So if you are going to sit for December 2020 exam, the exam will be paper-based. However, if you are going to sit for 2021 February exam, the exam will be computer-based. And in an unfortunate turn of event, if you fail in a level 1 exam, you'll have to wait for at least 6 months before retaking the exam. Now, this slide here shows the basic difference between the paper-based exam and the computer-based exam. So the paper-based exam used to be a 6 hours exam. However, the computer-based exam will be a 4-hour 30 minutes, so 4.5 hours exam. And level 1 paper-based exam used to be a fixed 1-day exam, but in computer-based exam, the candidates will have the flexibility to schedule an exam within a 7-day timeline. In a paper-based test, traditional paper-based test, level 1 exam consists of 240 MCQs. However, in level 1 computer-based exam, the candidates will encounter 180 MCQ questions. So 3 options, 180 MCQs, no negative marking. And like I said, if you fail, you have to wait for at least 6 months before retaking. Exam structure is 180 MCQ questions. So 2-session exam, 2 hours, 15 minutes for each session. There will be a 30 minutes optional break. And total time then is 4 hours, 30 minutes. So if the exam is broken down into 2 sessions and 180 multiple choice, that means you will encounter 90 MCQs per session, and you will essentially get 90 seconds per question. Level 1 exam pass rate, so historical data, is 43%. Level 2 and level 3 exam remains essentially unchanged for now. So in level 2 exam, the exam pattern changes a bit. It's still MCQ based exam, but here you will encounter what we call VNets. And VNets are popularly known as case studies, right? So you will encounter 20 to 30 VNets in 6-hour exam sessions. 3 hours in morning session, 3 hours in afternoon session. And the pass rate for level 2 exam is 45%. Similarly, level 3 exam is also for now a 6 hours exam. And each session consists of 3 hours, and there will be in the morning session you will encounter essay questions, which is known as constructive response. Constructive response means that you have to write precise answers to certain case studies given to you. And afternoon sessions consists of essentially like the beginner's question that you will be encountering in level 2. The exam structure in the afternoon session will be pretty much the same. Level 3 exam historical pass rate is 56%. Now recognize that level 3 exam candidates obviously are much lower compared to level 2 and level 1. Here you can see the topic-wise exam weights, and you can see the wide range of topics that you will be studying in preparation of CFA program. You can see that you can study financial reporting analysis. You can study economics. You will even study statistics, which is quantitative methods. And the most important part for the CFA exam will be the ethical and professional standards. Now, what used to happen is that the level 1 exam topic area weights used to be fixed, but starting from the next exam, the level 1 exam topic area weights will be variable. So obviously your preparation, the strategy, exam strategy will follow these topic area weights. However, as you can see that you cannot have any weakness in certain topic areas that can be costly in the actual exam. Now, one thing you need additionally for your exam is a financial calculator. There are 2 prescribed model of financial calculator. The picture that you are seeing is a BA2 plus Texas Instrument BA2 plus professional financial calculator, and there are one other prescribed model, which is Hewlett Packard HP financial calculator. These calculators are available in Stadium Markets or in Alma Super Shop, I guess. One other thing is that upon registering for the exam, you will get access to ebooks. But if you want to take hard copy books, you can do that by contacting to CFA Institute. Now, in this slide, one thing I'd like to highlight here is the minimum passing score requirement. So a common question is, what do I have to do to pass the exam, right? Unfortunately, we don't know beforehand and afterwards either the minimum passing score set by the CFA Institute. So you may have to aim higher for you to ensure the green zone. So for instance, you may target at least 70%, at least scoring 70% to be sure. Now, CFA exam fees. These fees, these deadlines with fees are for level 1 December exam. So as you can see, there are 3 deadlines, but unfortunately the early registration deadline is closed for December level 1 exam. So anyone who's thinking about going for level 1 exam will have to pay this one-time $450, which is enrollment fee. This one-time fee is actually one time. You never need to pay it again. And additionally, for registration fee, you will have to pay this $1,000. So that means you'll have to pay $1,450 for registration purpose. The registration deadline closes on August 19, 2020. The late registration deadline, obviously the payment goes up a bit. So I personally would not encourage anyone to go for it. For February 2021 exam, the deadlines in this case are 2. Early registration fee, just like the previous exam, is registration fee $700 and one-time enrollment fee $450. So that means anyone who's willing to go for February 2021 level 1 exam need to spend 1150, and the registration deadline closes August 13, 2020. And there is a standard registration deadline that closes on November 3rd, 2020. So many of you might think that I want to, get myself familiarized with the concepts, with the curriculum first. So they might go for standard registration program, but the payment obviously goes up. You need to pay $1,000 and this one-time enrollment fee. So that means $1,450. Payment method, obviously, you can go for dual currency credit card or debit card for any banks, local banks. And there are 2 or 3 commercial banks that issue virtual credit card for this special purpose. So you can contact to those banks as well. There are scholarships available given by CFA Institute, and the process is run by the local society here, CFA Society Bangladesh. What I understand is that to apply for 2020 level 1 exam, 2021 level 1 exam, sorry, the deadline ends in September 2020. So I would urge you to study on the scholarship a bit and get in touch with our local society representatives to get to know a bit more about the scholarships. For more information, obviously, you can go to cfainstitute.org, and you can also email at info@cfainstitute.org. So that's pretty much it from my end. Thank you very much. Over to you, Hamid.
Thank you so much, Mr. Khairul. Now we move on to the panel discussion of our speakers with our moderator, Mr. Asif Khan. So I would like to call upon Mr. Asif Khan to continue with the panel discussion. To you, Mr. Asif Khan.
Thank you, Hamid. Hope the line is clear and everybody can hear properly.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So first of all, thank you to Khairul for a very beautiful presentation on the CFA exam. I think that was very clear and lucid, and I hope people could really follow what he mentioned. And I also want to thank our previous speakers, definitely Ruhina, for talking about how to cope in this pandemic issue, I think, which is very important for all finance professionals, and also as a candidate for the CFA exam. And also to the next speaker, who was Saad. He talked about how the CFA program helped him in his career. So now I'm going to actually ask a few questions to our esteemed panelists and kind of delve a little bit deeper into the subject of the exam and exam preparation and whatnot. So I'll start with Khairul. So my first question to Khairul is, in these pandemic times, how can a candidate actually prepare with all the stress around us? How can they actually prepare for the exam?
Well, Asif bhai, I think it's really difficult to stay focused right now. But on the flip side, I would say that if you are like one of those lucky persons who are healthy, whose family members are in good health, you are probably either working from home or doing university classes from home in this difficult time period. In that case, this is possibly the best time to start and continue the preparation. CFA program is a comprehensive study, and in my opinion, the preparation is all about momentum. Once a candidate has started building momentum in terms of studying at a regular pace, the momentum needs to be there till the exam. If there is anyone who registered for June 2020 exam but had to reschedule into December 2020 or maybe next year, the person needs to stay focused and continue the momentum and utilize this time while staying at home. One point I'd like to highlight here is that previously there were a lot of rooms to strategize the preparation by looking at the topic-wise area weights. But now that the topic area weights are variable even for level 1, every topic has its own importance. So you really gotta rule out your area of weaknesses.
Right. Thank you so much, Khairul, for that detailed answer. But I'm going to ask a similar question to Ruhina, something that Khairul touched upon actually. For candidates who originally planned and prepared for the exam in June, obviously due to the pandemic, we have seen the exam get rescheduled to either December, some maybe even February. So how can they plan for this, like this rescheduling? Should they kind of use the time to build other skills, work on the job that they currently have, or like, prepare more to ensure that the probability of success in the exam goes up? So over to you.
Thank you, Asif Bhai, for that question. My personal belief that it's important to have a long-term goal in mind and then work backwards, split it up into smaller pieces. So think of this pandemic as short-term volatility, but take this time to assess your path, make sure that you are on the right path. And by that, I mean the path that is best for you and your career. So given that the exams are postponed, this is giving you extra time to work on your weak points. Be very honest with yourself. As a candidate, you know how you have prepared, you know where your weak points are, and look back at your past months. Where would you have liked to focus if you had extra time? So once you have identified this, make a new study plan. Whether you're targeting December or February, work backwards and then build a new study plan and then stick to it. When you're making that plan, so this is from my personal experience, but also from others, have some flexibility and some lag. It's very difficult to predict the future. No one will be able to do it perfectly. So make sure you have some extra time built in so that at the end of the day, the only certainty that is there is that there will be a date that will be fixed. And on that day, you will appear for the exam and you want to do your best. So keep that in mind and work towards it. In terms of extra skills, this will depend on you as a person. If you are one of those lucky ones who do have time and you feel that, for example, think of it this way. I would commute to work and I would spend 2 hours commuting. So I'm not commuting anymore. So a bit of that time I can use to develop skills. These could be hard skills, these could be soft skills. So that time, focus on, go to online courses in Udemy, in Coursera. There is a wealth of information in the CFA Institute website. We have the career portal, we have podcasts. So use that time as well and make sure that you're adding value to your role, because after the pandemic is over, there will be a lot more pressure on you to perform. So I hope that answers the question.
Beautifully explained, Ruhina. But I'll actually ask you a little bit more. So just don't unmute just right now. So we also know that you moved from Bangladesh to Canada. Obviously, you had a new job. So can you mention 1 or 2 skills that you kind of targeted for this move, and also within the pandemic, like anything that you're pursuing right now?
Yeah. So when I moved, I moved very recently towards the second half of last year. And when I came here, you can prepare, about the market, but to actually come without a current job is very, very scary. And that is and in that place, the CFA Institute, the network that I have, that is really what supported me. In terms of what skills I have focused on, when I came into this job market, so I am not traditionally from a banking, I'm somewhat unorthodox. I've been in manufacturing, I've been in retail, and I've been in infrastructure. So in all of those cases, my CFA financial skills were what really gave me a lot of strength. But when I came here, I realized that there's a lot of focus on software skills. For example, one of the new things I'm doing is I'm trying to learn Python and I'm trying to learn SQL. So these are not something traditionally that I would learn. I was more focused on Excel, Access. These are more traditional ones. But when I came here, I realized if I could say that I am familiar with VBA, if I'm familiar with SQL, then definitely my potential employer will put me at the top of the pack. So it is hard to do. You have to think a bit out of the box. But at the same time, you have to, as I said, we are expecting going forward new ways of working, maybe job cuts, pay cuts. We don't know what the future holds. It is important to plan as much as you can. But at the same time, I would not say that overburden yourself. Be happy as much as you can, spend time with your family, connect, and have a space for yourself where you're focusing on your career.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for the elaborate answer and also sharing your experience. So moving on, naturally, the next question goes to Saad. So Saad, time for you to unmute yourself. So we know that work rules have changed during the pandemic. Like those of us who have been working in the financial sector, obviously we are working from home. We are taking a lot of health precautions. And naturally, new job creation, I think we should expect that the job creation will be coming down as well. So for existing charter holders as well as candidates, right, what do you think is the new normal in terms of career trajectory? How do you think this affects them? What advice would you give as well?
Thank you, Asif, for the question. To be honest, I think irrespective of whether you are a charter holder or not, everyone in the job market is bound to be affected by COVID one way or the other. We are witnessing a massive shift in how we do business. We have been working from home, even client meetings and even job interviews are being conducted virtually. So for people like us who are in sales, this is something we are having to adapt to. Now, it's extremely critical because whether you are a new joiner in a company or you have been working for some period, at the end of the day, gaining business and earning business is about trust, which develops from relationships. So I would recommend all charter holders and candidates to work on relationship skills, as making sales pitch and winning over new businesses through virtual presentations is something which is probably new to many of us. During these times when resources are actually limited in each employer, so the employers and clients would actually want to place their bets on people who are not only the most skilled, but also who they can trust to uphold their integrity. So I think CFA charter holders who they go through a very rigorous assessment to earn their charter holder, which the most employers are very much aware of. So at this point, I think the additional challenge that the new job seekers are facing is that more people are obviously competing for fewer positions. So obviously there's a challenge. But I think if you do put in your hard yards and demonstrate your skills and passion, I think the growth trajectory of the charter holders will still be good, because skilled workforce is something which is still quite scarce in our country. So that's what I think.
Right. Thank you, Saad, for the answer. Just moving forward, I go back to Khairul again. One of the things you mentioned in your presentation was the new format of the exam for level 1, which is a computer-based testing format, right? So it's new. We haven't done that before. So can you explain what can the candidates do, especially candidates who prepared for the written exam and then they are going to transition to the newer format just because of, let's say, the pandemic, right? What advice would you give them to get accustomed to the new computer-based testing style? And also, just to add on, when we say computer-based testing, does it mean they are going to give the exam from their home, or are they going to go to a test center and give an exam?
Okay, so I'll answer the second part first. So I think so far what I have studied is that there hasn't been a clear indication in terms of like if a candidate will be able to sit for exam from home or they'll have to go to a test center. Ideally, I think CFA Institute would like candidates to come to a test center and sit for the exam in front of a computer. But I think they are currently observing the scenario, pandemic scenario, and the decision will be made accordingly. With regard to the preparation part, I think, well, whether it's a paper-based exam or a computer-based test, the preparation, I don't think, it's that different. The principles of preparation, the basic principles are pretty much the same, right? Because a candidate needs to be on the top of every concepts of the curriculum. And whether you will take preparation from soft copy books or hard copy books, it is really up to the candidates. But I think it's important that when the candidate will be practicing questions or attempting mock exams, ideally, say 1 month before the actual exam, maybe it will be useful for the candidate to practice extensively in front of a computer, to get used to sitting long hours in front of a computer. So I think that will help. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying both the questions, Khairul. Just moving forward, because we are kind of getting to there towards the end. So going back to Ruhina again, obviously this question has to go to you because you moved. So how much value do you think the CFA program can add for those who wants to pursue higher studies abroad, or even like going abroad, like building a career? Like in your case, did you think the CFA designation that you held really made a difference while searching for a job in Canada?
Yeah. So the first thing really to understand is that the CFA, it has international reputation. The syllabus is challenging, it's up to date. The course itself and the getting the charter, this requires a certain level of discipline. So with these, because employers are familiar with it, it opens new doors for you. So this is applicable whether you're going abroad to study or to work. This the CFA program gives you that boost. And the network itself, I think I mentioned a bit earlier. When I came here, I was able to access the local network, and I was also connecting with members of the CFA Society Bangladesh who had recently moved here. So these are the individuals who can mentor you, who will guide you, and so that, because this is so foreign, it's a foreign job market. You don't know whether so they give you that confidence and that guidance. And at the same time, what I'll say is, when I first started out, I had to convince my supervisors of the CFA designation, because it's not traditional banking, but at the same time, the CFA was still up and coming when I first started. Today, when there are job postings which will specifically ask for CFA designation or working towards a CFA designation, even beyond banking. So this is across platforms. They identify that these are skills that a candidate must have if they pass. And as a charter holder, they will have a certain level of discipline, ethics, and integrity when they work. So, so I think I was hoping that the CFA designation would give me a boost, but in reality, it actually helped me a lot more than I had expected it to.
Beautiful, thank you. So that's good news for all of us in general. Always good to kind of have something more than expectation, right? Positive surprises. Yes. Okay, so moving on. Again, a topic that we kind of touched upon already, and I think it kind of is similar to the question I asked Saad a little bit earlier. But let's say the company you're working for has to lay off people, maybe for no fault of your own, right? Or go for a pay cut, right? So this obviously, in addition to the psychological trauma that we face during the COVID, the health risks, the worry, this is an additional level of stress, really, right? What advice do you have for people that are currently, let's say, facing such problems, or they think that, you know, in 1 month or 2 months, kind of things can escalate to that level?
So, well, the COVID has impacted like all industries, call it airlines, tourism, retail, fashion brands, to finance and investment industry. And see, workforce streamlining and the pay cuts that we're seeing is something we probably all of us expected. But I want to stress on the fact that things will always not remain the same. I think I'm echoing the same thing which Rina said a while back. Things will not remain the same and things will improve. Now, with all the restructuring that's going on, I think a lot of opportunities will also arise. So the question is more is like, are we prepared to identify and seize them? my suggestion would be, unless maybe you are out of a job, not to be too concerned with maybe a short-term pay cuts, because if you actually can help your company strategize and maybe help your company navigate through this situation, I think the losses, the pay cuts that you are seeing, it's temporary and the losses can be recovered fast. And I think a lot of business ideas are also developing during this pandemic. So I think maybe we should focus more on that. So my 2 cents on this will probably that there are no shortcuts. The jobs that are being made redundant at this point will probably be replaced by jobs that will enable automation. So my advice would be that besides finance and investment knowledge, every business enthusiast should pursue programming language. I think Ruhina said a while back that she's probably learning Python and SQL. So I think that's a very good thing. I think Python is probably one of the most sought after programming languages at this point for business individuals. I think in future there will be fewer brick and mortar firms, and there will be fewer face-to-face conversations. It will be more virtual. So I think machine learning is considered to be one of the next big thing in understanding client and investor sentiments. So I think in near future, charter holders with coding knowledge will probably be one of the most sought after combo by employers while hiring. So I think the key idea is just keep on developing yourselves. When the opportunities arise, maybe you'll be in a best position to seize them.
Right. Thank you, Sat, for that answer. So I'll just come to the last question of the panel discussion, and after which we'll actually take a few questions from social media platform, because as you know, we are live on Facebook. So Ruhina already mentioned this, but again, the question is basically, what are some of the complementary skill sets that a CFA charter holder can target? So the question to all three, we can actually start with Ruhina, because you mentioned that you are picking up Python and SQL. Is there something else that you want to mention? But also, along with that question, right, and because Saad also mentioned machine learning and AI, that sort of points, my question is also that these complementary skill sets that you're mentioning, do you think there's a kind of a immediate monetization chance in Bangladesh? Are our employers actively seeking that sort of skill set? Like in Canada, it may be different. So if you can give that angle as well to the answer that for the audience in Bangladesh.
Yeah. I did touch upon the technical skills, but I think also something that I don't want to be lost is that soft skills are also going to be important. How to prepare yourself for interviews, how to conduct yourself in a very high stress meeting. These are also skills that you need to develop. So whether that is through experience, but also bolster yourself through online courses or through engagements with and feedback sessions with your supervisors and your peers. I think going forward, it's only going to get harder for any professional, because I don't mean that it hasn't been difficult, but I think the expectations, because businesses are going through so much of uncertainty and difficulties, they are going to expect their employees to step up to the plate, to deliver more. And that is really what we have to strive for. In terms of whether this is specific for, I think while, yes, in Canada, I have come across this more, I believe this is also going to happen in Bangladesh. And one of the key reasons is the impact from the pandemic, because we have seen people, irrespective of where they are working from home. You are trying to get that internet connection, you're trying to be safe. And so these things are universal. So it will accelerate in Bangladesh. This is my belief that it will accelerate in Bangladesh as well. Saad has also touched upon how he expects these to change. So going forward, we do have a lot of multinationals working there. We have local companies that are becoming much more professional as time goes. So they will take best practices from across the globe as they try to apply those skills and as they try to do better in business to survive. So I think it is a good time to, if you are able to develop yourself in technical and soft skills.
Thanks, Ruhina. Over to you, Saad. Same question for you as well.
So I think probably I touched upon this part earlier, but I think personally think that the relationship skills and communication skills will prove to be very crucial, because during these times you are actually not visiting your client's office, you are not visiting your managers, you're mostly interacting over emails or through virtual calls. So at this time, winning over businesses is very important, because at the end of the day, this is what pays your salary. So I think earning the trust of clients and earning the trust of your managers is something very important. So that's very crucial. And you probably also asked whether machine learning is something which is applicable to Bangladesh at this point, and how much it's applicable. I think I have always believed that you probably need to plan ahead of the curve. It's probably not as relevant as it is now in maybe Canada or US, but in maybe 2 to 3 years' time, it will be very relevant. And I can personally say that some of the MNCs are already taking advantage of it. They're actually using multiple signals to identify whether clients will buy which stocks or maybe which FX or currencies buys. I think from the phone conversations, as long as they're in English, I think machine learning is still proving to be quite useful. Maybe some languages such as Bangla is still maybe in the development stage, but I think will prove to be very crucial in the coming months. And which is why I actually say that Python and SQL, the kind of programming languages, would be very important.
Right. Thank you, Saad. So over to you, Khairul. Same question.
Well, yeah, I've already spoken about the skill sets necessary in my presentation, so that covers most of it. But one thing I'd like to put emphasis on is that anyone learning new skills should try and enjoy the process of learning that skills. Rudimentary skills like the ability to speak in English, analytical ability, execution of work through Microsoft Excel, Word, or PowerPoint. These are and will be of immense importance. If I talk about advanced skills, I think Saad Bhai and Ruhinapu covered most of the stuff. But from my personal experience, I'd like to add that there is a new saying that data is the new oil, right? So if you have the data, you have the whole world in your hand. And whatever businesses you are in, data sets or database are getting bigger and bigger every day. So to work effectively with the data, learning visualization tools like Microsoft Power BI or Tableau for making effective summary of those data can be very valuable. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Khairul, as well. So that kind of ends our panel discussion part. We obviously have a few questions through social media. I'm going to read them out one by one, and you are free. Each of you are free to take that question. So for someone who wants to pursue CFA level 1, and that's kind of the first level, right? Do you think that actually adds value? Like if you just pass level 1 for a finance professional, without knowing at this point whether you want to kind of end the entire program, for example. So what value would CFA level 1 add to someone's resume or job prospects? Khairul, you want to take that?
Okay, so well, if you are only thinking about going for level 1 and probably passing the exam, one thing I'd like to mention here that you will be learning finance quite comprehensively. So even if you have major in finance during your undergrad, probably while looking at the curriculum, you'll see that there are a lot of overlaps. Yes, there are a lot of overlaps. But however, once you start studying, you'll realize how comprehensive the program is. So it will definitely add value, but after saying that, I also have to mention that the value you derive from just passing level 1 also depends on you. Maybe you will do better in an interview, or maybe you'll be better at making decisions. So yeah, it depends. It kind of depends on you as well.
Got it. Thank you. I'm going to move on to the next question because we have a number of them lined up and we are already kind of short on time. So in terms of question to all three actually, have each of you applied for any CFA scholarships while you were pursuing the exam?
Okay, so I actually applied for what it was called back then professor scholarship. So there was a teacher in my department, finance department, Mujibul Kabir sir. So Mujibul Kabir sir is the reason that I pursued CFA, and at that time, sir was able to hand out scholarships to 5 candidates in a year. So I was one of the candidates, taking that scholarship for level 1 exam and subsequently passing that.
Ruhina and Saad, did you apply?
So when I gave the exams at the time, I was not able to connect with any charters or who would be able to sponsor me. So at the time, no, I did not use any scholarships, which is probably why I appreciate the scholarships more. It is financially it is very difficult sometimes. And particularly if you want to register late, I always say register early. So so this is actually a great opportunity that there are now so many more scholarships available. But maybe Saad, you can share if you had the opportunity to take a scholarship.
No, I haven't applied for the scholarship, but I was lucky enough that my employer actually sponsored my CFA program upon the condition that I clear each of the levels. So basically, I applied for it myself. I registered it by myself, but once I passed each of the levels, I got reimbursed for the whole amount by my employer.
Got it. Thank you all three. But so this was just a general kind of information I wanted from all three. But because we always get a lot of questions from people on the exam fees, whether there are scholarships available. They mention it's expensive. Other than the time, the money as well. So just to kind of tell our audience that there are a lot of scholarships available. There are access scholarships that's given out by the society that reduces the exam registration fee to $250. You actually have to apply during a period that the society announces through our Facebook page. So you kind of have to follow the page to know when that scholarship gets out. And there is like the committee that assesses the applications. And obviously the applications are judged primarily on the basis of need, but also on merit, because we just don't want to hand out scholarships where people don't pass. That's a wasted scholarship. But in addition to the access scholarships, we also have all sorts of other scholarships. One which I think Khairul mentioned, that is given to Cfa Charter holder teachers at universities. So we also have like 3 universities in Bangladesh that are affiliated, so they can hand out some scholarships to their students. So we have that. There are scholarships for the regulators as well. So scholarships especially for people working in Bangladesh Bank, and also probably for those people at SEC and Dhaka Stock Exchange. And then there are fewer others. So for any question on scholarships, like you can visit the CFA Institute website. You can also get in touch with the CFA Society Bangladesh. We have a Facebook page, as I mentioned. So I'm kind of encouraging you to kind of follow up on that. So just moving on to the next question, and the question is actually, in Bangladesh, what are like some of the roles where the CFA knowledge can be applied? So in here we have 2 bankers, I think, but and then Ruhina actually mentioned that you are not from the financial sector, but if any of you want to add on, like what are the sectors? Is it just for capital markets? Is it just for people working the stock market, or can there be a wider application of the degree? maybe Ruhina can start, give your answer first. Like, how did you apply that in your previous jobs, for example?
So, so a little bit of background on how my career has developed. I actually started my career in multinational FMCG. I started with Unilever as a management trainee, and then I moved on to British American Tobacco. Then I moved on to Chevron, and currently I'm in a retail company called Canadian Tire. So in all of these, I have not done one specific type of role. I have touched upon strategic planning, long-term financial business cases development, decision making, and also a lot of financial techniques have been used over all these periods. So in my experience, the CFA designation really prepared me for a broad set of skills. And so, as I said, I have moved in non-traditional. We have, and over here, I've seen people not just in banking and manufacturing. I've seen sole proprietors, entrepreneurs who have CFA designations. They've moved on, and because they're versed so well in finance, but also in economics, business, and ethics. We're able to translate our role beyond the capital market. So I think the other panelists will also be able to add on to that.
Right. Thank you, Ruhina. Saad, yes.
Yes. So if we look at the diversity of charter holders that we have here in Bangladesh, we can see that there are people from capital markets. There are a lot of people working in banks. We also have people. Working in central bank as a regulator also. So I don't think the CFA charter holder CFA charter is strictly for capital market professionals. It applies for everyone, and I think as Ruhina said, that it applies to entrepreneurs as well, because you would actually need to know these concepts, because if you want to run a business. So I think it's extremely crucial. I don't think it's people in capital markets is someone. It shouldn't be confined to the equity market professionals. That's right.
Thank you. Khairul, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Okay. So I worked for my first 7.5 years of career in equity market. So obviously CFA program lessons were very relevant. But now that I've moved into a commercial banking role, I found that the learnings that I had in the CFA curriculum is very much portable, right? So in any analytical role, I think it can be used. And like Sabhai just said, that there are many charter holders who are working in regulatory bodies. And if you take a look at the biggest employer that employs CFA charter holders in our country, that would obviously be the banks, foreign banks, and some local banks. So yeah, obviously it can be a wider variety of roles.
Got it. Thank you. We actually have another question, which probably I have to take. The question is whether how a banker right now can benefit from the portal that we have launched. So actually, if you think of the portal, this is a digital adaptation of the career guide we had launched some time back. So it's just more interactive. It's easier to access to the web instead of having a physical book around. I think there are two targets, like really who can benefit from this online portal. Number one, students who have not decided what kind of jobs they want to do in the financial field. So because we have featured people from like a broad array of sectors, including the capital markets, banking, treasury departments, entrepreneurs, academicians, so they kind of a big range out there. So you can actually see how they have used the CFA program to further their career. So I think this is the group that benefits the most from the career portal. Then the next group would be people who are in a job, who may be in one of these sectors, but who want to switch over and pursue something else. So for them also, the different roles that are available I think it actually gives you a lot of color to that group. So that's basically it. So let me just check quickly if we have any other questions. We actually have a question on any changes to the curriculum. Unfortunately, I think all of us that are here in this call, we have given the CFA quite some time back. I don't think we are really up to date on the curriculum, unless, like, Tyrell, do you know that of any of the updates, changes?
To keep curriculum up to date, CFA Institute regularly changes. Almost every year there are minor to major changes in topics. So for example, like Sadbhai just said that you need to learn things like machine learning, fintech. So what I have seen is that CFA Institute added topics, added chapters related to these topics, right, in almost all levels. So these are the changes, but to know about the specific changes in the level 1 exam, you'll have to go to the CFA's websites, and you will find all the changes consolidated into one page there.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks for that. So we are at the end of our program. So I think it's been almost 1.5 hours. So it's been a long time. So first of all, let me just thank all the panelists, Khairul, Saad, Ruhina, for spending the time with us, for answering the questions from the audience, from the panel discussion as well. I think there's a lot to take away for not just the students, candidates, but also for the established charter holders that are working in the industry. Because I think we touched upon a lot of different things, like what is the CFA program all about, but we spent a lot of time on the pandemic as well, how it impacts us, what skills to kind of get into. So thank you all three. Also want to thank Hamid for organizing the event and acting as the MC. So great job. And obviously this is the first such awareness we are organizing. So a big milestone for us. Previously, all these awareness sessions used to be physically done at the university premises. I'm not sure when we can kind of get back to that, that physical events. I think it's going to be some time before we go there. And so just to wrap up here, obviously, remember this program, it's one of the objectives of the program is to promote and launch the career portal. And so don't forget to visit the portal. And obviously, the portal is located within the society website. Hamid, I think, showed the society website. If you can't find it, it's very easy. You go to Google, search for CFA Society Bangladesh, and you should be able to find the link to the website. We are adding a lot of resources for people. A lot of the common questions people have on the CFA exam are addressed there in our FAQ. And in addition, if you still have further questions, obviously you can reach out to us through our Facebook page. Not feel free, I would say that just put a like there, follow it, share it with your friends who might be interested in pursuing finance or the CFA exam. So that's all from our side. I think we can close it today. And thank you all.
Thank you.
So I'm just ending the event. All right.
Yeah.